Good afternoon. I'm actually on time today. Yesterday yesterday I told people I was going to stream at 3 and then well, I never showed up. And then I streamed at like 9 o'clock at night. What are you going to do though? Some days are like that. The day just kind of got away from me, but I'm here now. Let's see. We must. Let's see. I should probably update my status so that it does people know I'm on lunch. And then let's see, I should probably alert the Discord homies. Oh, I should also play some music. It's probably not fun to listen to me breathe into the microphone. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to go here. We're going to do that. We're going to get some tunes on here. Turn this up to 11. I actually don't know. Maybe the tunes are too quiet on my stream. I can never tell. But if they are too loud, you let me know. Okay, then I need to alert the Discord. Well, our Discord's actually gotten like, I mean, it's the most people I've ever had in a group chat before. Let's see. At everyone live here if you are around, if you want to hang out. All right, cool. That's the alert. Oh, someone sent me a message. No, still aiming to stream over lunch. Last couple of days have been odd. Hey, Steve1E, what's up, man? You're alive today, huh? Feeling feisty. All the messages coming in at once. How are you, man? Yep. Nah, things are good. How you been since I saw you last? First day where I have actually slept enough and where I drank my morning coffee. Well, that's good, man. That's good. I'm glad. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you don't realize how much how good sleep is for you until you go without it for a while. I remember when our kids were first born. Uh, I just remember, particularly with my oldest, feeling really shitty for a little while, and then like we got one good night of sleep, and it was like, oh my gosh, I feel like a whole new person. Steve1E, well, good. Worked a bit on my weather app. Got it to display all the info for the week. Nice. Now it's just a matter of formatting it. Yeah, making it look nice. I got this app, Sleep Like Android, and it's awesome. Nice. Sleep Like Android. I like that. Yeah, so you're doing the fun bits of your weather app, huh? All the styling. What are you using for styling? Just plain old CSS? Or using Tailwind like all the cool kids these days? Excuse me. All right. I actually think I'm gonna switch gears today. Well, tomorrow styling. It's a React app. Nice. So few, so few thousand divs. Yeah, a div inside a div inside a div inside a div. And some CSS. Yeah. Slap some divs on it. Little flex box. My go-to move is display flex, align item center, justify content center. It's my go-to CSS move. It works most of the time. Makes most things look better. Oh man, I don't know why I'm yawning. I've had caffeine and I've had more caffeine on deck, but for whatever reason, it's still not enough. Stewie, what are you up to? So my days, and how was your day? So my day's been good, a little busy. Uh, the meeting discipline has been a real problem the last couple of days. I had another meeting today at 11:30. It was supposed to go for an hour. It ran till 2 o'clock. So not terribly productive, but good. I mean, they're important meetings, important conversations. Just taking more time than I thought. But what I'm up to today during the stream is I'm actually going to work on. I'm going to go back to the learnings I was doing around building a large language model, which might not be super exciting for anybody, but I haven't worked on it in a few days, and I'd like to spend a little bit of time on it. And if I get frustrated with Python, then I'll just switch back to learning Go. Gandalf. Hey, Steven, I'm going to guard the chat. Hello, Gandalf. Gandalf, sup? Gandalf, my wife. Come back to me. Oh, wow. A turn of events. Like, Gandalf, I don't want to be an ass. That story you told me, I don't know, like it's probably been like 3 weeks now at this point, about like going to the hospital and then your wife leaving you, and like, I don't know. I'm suspicious of whether your story is true or not. Let's see. Stewie, well, I'll probably work on adding some LSPs to my NeoVim. Nice. Also start converting my Ansible scripts to Bash scripts. Why convert your Ansible scripts to Bash scripts? You just don't want to use Ansible anymore, or? Curious. I've never used Ansible. Right? That's like a CI/CD tool. Ansible. Automates tasks like configure. It's written in Python, uses a human readable language. So what does oh, it's a Red Hat product, huh? Red Hat's good. So are all your scripts written in Python or written in PowerShell, I guess? Let's just steal any. Honestly, I have a lot of separate scripts for nightly builds, flat packs, and stuff, and I just want to have everything in one place. Nice. Also, I know Bash scripts well. Oh, very cool. You're good at Bash. I'm terrible at Bash. I guarantee ChatGPT is better at Bash than I am. And I took Free Code Camp's Bash course. Yeah, that makes sense. But not sure. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I feel like Bash is one of those things that if you don't use it a lot, you lose it. Or is that just me? Is that just my own skill issue? Hunter, sup? What's up, Hunter? How are you? Good to see you, sir. Stewie, no, it's YAML. Oh man, even worse. I hate YAML. I use GitHub Actions for basically everything CI/CD related. But and yeah, YAML is no fun to work with. although the benefit of using a CI/CD platform like GitHub is like there's so much there's so many problems that are already solved for you. Hunter, congrats on your subs. Oh, I appreciate that, Hunter. Yeah, was it today or yesterday at some point? I saw we kind of officially blew past the 750 mark, which was pretty exciting. But like you've heard me say probably 100 times now at this point, I'm surprised even one person would subscribe to my channel. So, so I don't expect it at all, but I do appreciate it. Let's see, software, build a large language model. Let's pull. Oh God, I don't even remember where I was on this whole project. I think I'm building some sort of attention mechanism. And if I remember right, we're looking at causal attention mechanisms. So yeah, I'm probably going to be doing a little bit of reading, a little bit of learning this stream, so totally get it if you guys want to bugger off. But yeah, but you're more than welcome to stay, hang around, ask questions. If you're interested in this too, I'm happy to chat with you guys. But yeah, that's the plan for the next 45-ish, 50 minutes of my lunch break. Key4, I'm just gonna call you Key4. Key4, yo, remember me? I do remember you, Key4. How are you? Thanks for stopping into the chat again. That's very kind of you. I'm past all this stuff. I've done all this stuff. I've done self-attention. Let's see. Now I'm in the causal attention. Causal. I think that's how you say that. Stewani, you know any good LSPs for HTML or CSS? I think I just used the VS Code one, Stewani. I can tell you what I use. I'm pretty sure they're the VS Code language servers. Key4. I do remember you, man. Maybe you didn't hear me, but I do remember you. So, and I did thank you for coming back to the stream. You spell my name to say it, so it would be K4KWT. Well, I'm just gonna call you Key4. That's easier for me. Let's see. Steve, want to give me the name, please? Yeah, one sec. Let me also, hi Matt. Close. I think it's Mason. I use Mason to handle all my LSPs, but it's in Mason. They are HTML LSP and CSS LSP. But I'm pretty sure. Let me look at my config. Hold on. Let me look at my config real quick. Edit invim config. Lua plugins LSP. Are they in here? I don't know if they're actually in here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's VS Code language servers is the name of them. Is there anything else I would need? Yeah, HTML LSP, CSS LSP, and then I use Mvim. So I use Mvim LSP. So you do have to configure your setup function like this. You gotta do that at some point. Yeah, Stewani, Mason is awesome. No, I think HTML LSP and CSS LSP are all you need, and then obviously you need to set them up in your configuration. But they've worked fine for me for everything I've used so far. I haven't done a ton of front end, but the front end I have done, I haven't had any issues. I think, is it Tree Sitter? I think Tree Sitter also. If you're using Tree Sitter, I think Tree Sitter might have. Is it Tree Sitter or is it? Yeah, I think it's Tree Sitter. It might have. Does this have any configuration you need to do? Yeah, I just have a bunch of Ensure installed in here too, obviously. But yeah. Hold on, let me see that setup. Okay, so this is Tree Sitter. Well, let me go back to the LSP so you can see the LSP because that's the important bit. If you have the LSP, you'll be in good shape. So obviously, I just require LSP config, and then down here, I have some default capabilities. These capabilities are for snippet completions. Here. Oh, go back to Mason? Okay. One sec. And this is the important LSP stuff. Okay, let's open Mason again. So these are the two right here. CSS LSP is giving me problems. Huh. Let's see if I can point you where let's see. Invim LSP. Yeah, it's capital I think. It may just be lowercase I actually, C1E, to install it. Key 4, what are you trying to make? Today I'm not making anything. Today I'm going to be learning a little bit more about transformers in large language models. This is, yeah, CSS. Suhas, cool. Yeah, it should be a good time. Key 4, BRB. Okay, see ya. Suhas, what's going on? What's going? Is going good. What's going is I was trying to help D1E real quick with his HTML and CSS LSPs and his NeoVim config, but then my plan is to look at basically I bought a book called Building a Large Language Model from Scratch, I think is the title. So I'm just working through that book. I'm trying to learn more about kind of transformers and how they're built and their architecture, and just to kind of go a layer below, you know, knowing how to use foundation models, but going kind of a layer deeper to try to understand how those foundation models are put together. At least somewhat. This might be what you're missing, though, Steve1E. You might also need to install this global npm package. And you might need this one, too. Steve1E, no. When I do Mason, I do see them as available. You mean you don't see them as available, Steve1E, in Mason? You don't see them there? I don't think I did anything special. Did you go to the second tab? I don't know why they would show up for me, but not for you. Suhas, if you can explain whatever you learned until this point, that will be really cool. Yeah, sure, I can. Oh, no, you do. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. Well, that's good, man. You're ready to rock and roll. Suhas, so basically what we've learned to this point is two things. We've learned about, well, I guess I shouldn't say just two things, but I'm going to summarize. They do show up. Okay. I'm going to summarize it as kind of two things largely, right? So, let me close this. I don't know why I can't install them. Yeah, you might try. Hey, Stewie, there's a. Let me link you to this. You might go to this. These docs, because these look like they want you to. This is the MVim LSP docs. These might be helpful to go to. Here's the HTML one. Just give me some time. I'll make it work. Okay. Yep. You do your thing. I'm gonna let you problem solve, and I'm gonna go on to explaining what I've been learning when it comes to building large language models. So let's quit out of that. Let's quit out of this. Let's go into here. And okay, so the first big thing we learned about was about tokenization, Suhas. Right? So to build your language model, you first need the text that you're going to train. Obviously, in the case of like ChatGPT, and those really large foundation models, they're trained on like the whole internet, right? In my case, I'm just using this really simple book called The Verdict. But the first thing you have to do, right, is you have to take this text and you have to put it, you basically have to translate it into some form that your model or your ultimately your neural network can use in a meaningful way. So the first thing you do is you have to tokenize it. And there's quite a bit to this aspect of it. The book walks you through doing like simple tokenization, where you're basically just doing it based on white space essentially, and just talks to you about how you can basically encode and decode, right? So you can take the string, turn it into tokens, take the tokens and turn them back into the text. And there's lots more complex ways to do this. And so at some point in the book, you go to actually using a library called TickToken, which has its own implementation that uses, what's the term? Byte? Is it byte? Hold on, let me look at my notes. It basically deals with the fact that well, that's not what I want. That's not what I wanted. Why is that so big? I don't think Obsidian likes the fact that I changed my viewport resolution. Let me open my notes real quick, because then I'll be able to sound less like an idiot. 1 second. Let me open my... Okay, so... yeah, so the first thing's tokenization. Use Obsidian. Yeah, Obsidian's great, Suhas. So you use tokenization. You're basically going to end up building up a vocabulary, is basically what you're ending up doing, where you're basically taking text, turning it into a vocabulary, which is essentially a big, large... I don't know. The way I've conceptualized it in my mind, it's like a big, large dictionary or object map where you've got tokens and an embedding that represents, or a vector that represents that token. And this is the structure that your, this is the data, or this is the text that you will, not text, this is the data, I guess, you will use to help train your model, essentially. I'm a noob at this, so obviously that was probably a terrible explanation, but that's essentially what we're doing. So you can kind of see here, here's kind of like an overview of what we're doing. We read in our source text, the raw, unprocessed text. We do some pre-processing on it, which means we basically split it. And then we basically build up a vocab of all the different tokens that are in that text. And again, that whole concept of like tokenization, there's a lot of sophistication around it, right? The way you implement your tokenization is a whole thing. But basically, once you tokenize it, then you encode it. If we go into this thing, you'll see I have an encode function, I have a decode function, right? So that way we can take the text from tokens back to text. And then TickToken is a library that basically allows you to do the same thing, only it's much more sophisticated. It uses a whole different algorithm and library. And now what I'm learning about is I'm learning about attention mechanisms. Yeah, exactly, Suhas. That's kind of like your first step. Like your first kind of like step numero uno in the whole thing. So now what I'm learning about is I'm learning about attention mechanisms, which is that's kind of I guess one of the breakthrough or hallmark characteristics of these transformer models is this attention mechanism, which basically allows I've not articulated this myself yet before, so let me see if I can put my understanding into English words. Why is this when attention mechanisms are just like transformers? It tells AI is a riverbank, not a money bank. Yeah, exactly. So basically the attention mechanisms basically allows the model to weigh the importance of different words or tokens. More specifically tokens, right? We shouldn't probably use words because that's confusing. But basically weigh the importance of different tokens in a sequence relative to one another, which is how, like what you just said in plain English, which is how ultimately you're able to distinguish money bank from riverbank, right? So that's why the attention mechanism is important in these transformer models, and so that's what I'm currently learning about. And I've already looked at a couple different ways to implement attention mechanisms. At their heart, though, you're still dealing with vectors, right? So this is all still coming down to the fact that you're dealing with vectors. So you have your sequence, you have vectors that represent the sequence of tokens, and then the way you communicate that attention mechanism is basically by looking at the vectors relative to one another. What is the difference between multi-layer perceptron and a transformer? I have no idea, Suhas. That is beyond my small little brain's knowledge at this point. So yeah, like I think there's 6 or 7 chapters in this book. I'm at chapter 3. But yeah, it's kind of fascinating. All of it boils down to is a lot of vectors and a lot of matrix multiplication is what the attention mechanism kind of comes down to. Suhas, what book? Hold on, I can get you the exact title. The book is called Build a Large Language Model. That's this book right here. I think I got it on Amazon. It's by a guy named Sebastian. I'm going to say his last name wrong. I know it. Roshka, maybe. But so far it's good. The reason I found this book was I was listening to an episode of the Lex Friedman podcast, and he mentioned that this was a really good book to get a better understanding of Transformers, and so that was the main reason I picked it up. Steve1E figured out what was wrong. Names for VS Code ones were HTML and CSS LS, not HTML, LSP, and CSS LSP. Ah, nice. Okay, cool. I'm glad you got that sorted, man. Where was I? I think I was just basically trying to I was trying to basically explain what I had learned to date from this book. But now I'm going to actually jump into actually doing some more learning at the moment. I would never dare try to position myself as someone who can teach this topic to others, right? So please, anything I say, it's like pretend like you're talking to a LLM, and everything I say might be a one big lie. Steve1E, could you show me your LSP config again so I can actually use them? Very please. Oh, of course, yeah. So one sec. I'm just gonna open up a new tab real quick. Suhas, teaching is the best form of learning. You know what, Suhas? I definitely agree with that. I feel like I don't know if teaching is the best form of learning, but teaching is definitely the best form of figuring out what you know and what you don't know. And I actually wrote a blog post about this. I had a hold on. Let me not get distracted with story time. Let me get Steve1E what he needs. LSP Lua. So this is what my LSP setup looks like for those servers. Basically looks like this. Yeah, that's what it looks like, Steve1E. So I wrote a blog post about this, Suhas. Let me see if I can pull it up. blog.stevenfreeborn.com. Yeah, this is it. It's called "I'm Glad I Failed That Test," which is basically a story. It's basically a story. I had a class in my undergraduate degree called cell biology. It was taught by a guy named Bradley Kramer at Missouri Southern State University, which probably doesn't mean anything to anyone. But I took his class. We were like 3 weeks in or 4 weeks in or whatever, and we had our first exam, and I just fucking bombed that exam so bad. But I wasn't expecting that. Like, I was fully prepared. I thought, hey, I'm gonna do great. And so afterwards, after I got my score back, I went to his office and was like, Steve1E, but I use LSP0. Yeah, I don't use that, so my configs probably don't line up well with yours. Yeah, so I went to my professor's office and was basically like, yo, I need help. I need to know what I can do. What was I gonna say? I keep getting distracted. I was basically like, hey, I don't know what I need to do differently. And the piece of advice he gave me, like, changed the course of my life. He basically was like, hey, you need to sit down and you need to try to teach someone else what you think you know about what you learned in this course in advance of the test. And so before every test, that's what I would do. I would get a whiteboard, I would drag it out to the living room, and I would basically try to teach cell biology to my wife, who wasn't, she wasn't in school studying the same thing I was. And that for me was like a wake up moment where I realized, oh, how powerful it is to like sit down and try to explain to somebody else what it is you think you know about something. And it very quickly reveals what you don't know, and then it helps you figure out what you need to go learn more about. Yes, I know. I'm a wonderful storyteller. That was that was a build up all to say like 2 sentences. And I've yet to learn anything more about large language models at this point. Excuse me. Ducky Dev, hi. How are you, Ducky Dev? Suhas, you know what? I will implement that. Yeah, I mean, Suhas, it changed. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I have a blog. Before an exam or an interview, I will just sit down and try to explain everything I learned. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like when you, I bet when I say that to people, it's like that seems dumb or like that seems blatantly obvious. But yeah, it was for me. It was the unlock. Like it really changed my ability to learn and do well in school, and it's changed my ability to learn as an adult. In a professional setting, and it's one of the reasons I feel like it's so valuable to have a blog, because writing is a way of trying to teach or explain as well, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to involve getting up in front of getting up in front of somebody with a light board and lecturing. Right? Maybe you could sit down and just write a blog post about the thing you think you know a lot about. Ducky Dev, I'm learning how tail scale works and I'm confused. Derp, ice, turn, so many protocol. Yeah, I know nothing about tail scale, Ducky, so LO. I practically never studied and ended up getting A's. Well, Ducky, you're a lucky man. And honestly, up until that cell biology exam, there's my wife. nice emoji, honey. But up until that exam that I failed in college, school had relatively been pretty straightforward for me. I didn't have to put a lot of effort into it. But I think as I got into more complicated or more challenging topics, right, I had to adapt some new strategies, and that was definitely one that made a big difference. Steve1E, now time for some bash scripting. Hell yeah. Well, have fun bash scripting. Suhas, people don't realize the importance of obvious things sometimes. I do appearing just surprised how could it is. Yeah, agree. Sometimes the obvious is the stuff you need more of. Hello, Mrs. Freeborn. Hope you had a nice day. Oh, you guys are nice. Thanks for being nice to my wife in chat. That's very appreciative. She's probably wondering why I'm not working. I'm allowed to take breaks, okay? All right. Back to the code. Oh, goodness. Mob Psycho. Hey, what's up, Mob Psycho? How you doing? Good to see you again, man. Keyboard's giving me fits at the moment. So this is kind of an interesting Suhas, I should stop using TTS? No, man, there's nothing wrong with using TTS. It's actually quite convenient. It saves you lots of time, honestly. Ducky Dev, time to code a load balancer, reverse proxy, and a CDN. Ducky, you're just like building your own tool chain. Build your own database, build your own load balancer, build your own reverse proxy. You should just go ahead and build your own operating system, man. Just go after the final boss. Mob Psycho, doing good, just doing office work. Well, that was me this morning, Mob Psycho. Yeah. Sometimes you got to do the boring stuff. It's not the most fun. I gotta figure out where the heck I was in this book. I think I'm through causal attention. Yes, this is where I'm at. I'm at the point of talking about. No, I did that. Because I implemented this class. Oh yes, I am at extending single head attention to multi-head attention. That's where I'm at. Ducky Devs. I'm planning that. LL. Damn, Ducky. I don't think. Yeah, you may. Yeah, maybe if Suhas can help you out, but yeah, I have no appetite for rehashing those technologies. I mean, maybe at some point you could argue it'd be a good project for as a learning experience, but geez, I mean. Yeah, I mean, there's people that make entire careers out of building those things. Ducky Dev, I'm gonna build it in Rust because I love Rustaceans. Well, I'd love to see that. I'm sure the Rustaceans would love to see you build a OS in Rust. All right. So the term multi-head refers to dividing the attention mechanism into multiple heads, each operating independently. Okay, that's a good term. No. Into multiple heads, each operating independently. So in this context, a single causal attention module can be considered single head attention, where there is only one set of attention weights processing the input sequentially. Yes, you have to calculate attention scores, which you then use to calculate attention weights, which you then use to compute the context vectors. So we will tackle this expansion from causal attention to multi-head attention. First, we will intuitively build a multi-head attention by stacking multiple causal attention. Then we will implement the same multi-head attention in a more complicated but computationally efficient way. Why are these things seem to always be related? Something is more complex, but it's computationally better. Ducky, I'm doing it because it's easier to maintain yourself, especially because my app is going to need to be very scalable and customizable and maintainable to have one big synchronous system and infrastructure. Yeah, I don't know what you got planned, Ducky, but it sounds impressive, man. Suha says any application that can be written in JavaScript will eventually be written in JavaScript. Every program will be eventually rewritten in Rust. You think so, Suhas? Every program? I don't know. Depends on how I mean, the thing with JavaScript, the reason why that first message you sent is so true is because, I mean, JavaScript is just so approachable. It's easy to use. It's garbage collected. It's forgiving, right? Rust is none of those things, in my opinion. Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't think the group of people who write JavaScript will probably take it upon themselves to write Rust. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I think I would take the under there on that one. Okay, in practical terms, implementing multi-head attention involves creating multiple instances of the self-attention mechanism, each with its own weights, and then combining their outputs. Okay, so you need multi-head attention. Multi-head attention is crucial for the kind of pattern recognition that models like transformer-based LLMs are known for. The diagrams in this book are actually pretty helpful. Like initially when you look at them, they kind of make no sense, but then the more you know, the more they make sense. Okay, so you've got your inputs, the embedded input tokens, right? So this is what I was talking about earlier, right? These are the input tokens that you took the text, tokenized it, you embedded it, and these become your inputs. And then we have our weight matrices, but we have multiple weight matrices for each of the attention modules. And then each of these attentions is going to have a separate queries, a separate keys, a separate values. So the query keys and values is helpful. There was a helpful, I wrote this down somewhere. And I need to remind myself. Why queries, keys, and values? So each attention mechanism has its own queries, keys, and values. And those are... So query is the current item the model is going to focus on. The key, you can think of like the index for items in the input sequence. And then the value is the actual content or representation of the input items, which in this case, that would be your inputs. Determine which keys are most relevant to the query, then retrieve the corresponding values. Yeah, okay. And then you use your weights, you use your queries, use your keys, you use your values to calculate your attention weights. And in this case, we're going to have more than 2 sets of attention weights. And those attention weights are going to be basically a weighted sum. They're going to be summed together to give you your context vectors. Your context vectors are ultimately what's going to be used to instruct the model about the relevancy of the tokens to one another. God, this is all so complex. No wonder people get PhDs in this shit. Suhas, Rust rewrite. Not every program that is useful. High-level programs, maybe. Pip, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what will end up being written in Rust. I'm sure stuff will be rewritten in Rust, but if, I don't imagine it becomes as prevalent as JavaScript. And I don't know what anyone here thinks, but I mean JavaScript's here to stay, right? I mean, I honestly really believe that JavaScript will at some point evolve. Um, JavaScript will evolve to have types, in my opinion. I know there's a, what do you call it? There's a proposal out there already that's pretty far along in the process, but I just think that's the next natural step for that language, given the popularity of like TypeScript, for example. Sorry, I got a message I had to read. I've been distracted once again. Today's stream has been full of distractions, hasn't it? Um, um, where did that go? Uh, correct. They would. So JavaScript is easiest to stay, but JavaScript compiler will be written in Rust. What's your opinion on this statement? JavaScript compiler? Are you talking about like Node? You mean the runtimes, like the? Yeah, I'm not sure what are you referring to as far as compiler goes, Suhas. Compiler, sorry. Ducky Dev, along the road, I'll have to switch to Rust or something faster. So, so Ducky, you're gonna build all these things in JavaScript, and then you're gonna switch over to building them in Rust. You're gonna rewrite them in Rust. That's nuts, man. I wish I had that level of ambition to tackle such technically challenging projects. I'm just like, hey, give me a database somebody else wrote. I don't need to write my own. Neo-Korean, what paper is that? This, it's not a paper, it's a book. It kind of looks like a paper because I'm stuck on this diagram, but it's a book. It's called, I should just leave this up so when people ask me, I can just show it. It's called Build a Large Language Model. This is the book by Sebastian. I'm going to try this again. Rashka. Neo-Korean. Rust feels so slow to compile. It's terrible. I can't give much of an opinion myself on that because the Rust I have written has been so small that I probably I wouldn't notice if it does take a long time. DuckDB. Huh. I'm not familiar with that. Let's see. Neo says the attention is all you need paper is really good. Okay, I'll have to add that to my list. Let me see if I can find that. Attention is all you need. Oh, looks like I've I wonder if I have that linked already in my notes here. It may have already been referenced at one point in this book, and I hell yeah. That's funny. Look what I wrote Nevo in my notes. I wrote the paper that started it all. And it literally links to the paper you wrote about. We were actually talking about that before you showed up in the stream, about how the attention mechanism is one of the most like crucial, I guess, breakthroughs of these transformer models. Neo, if you get that one, you get most transformers. Yeah. I'm trying. It's the original page. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm trying to basically get up to speed on that stuff. I've worked with transformers as a user, but I've never actually done much with it from a building coding perspective. So I'm just kind of trying to peel back the onion a little bit more, try to understand a little bit deeper. Suhas, where can I pirate this book? I honestly don't think you can, nor would I publicly advise you to. You know, just pay for it. I mean, it's worth it. I mean, the guy who wrote it's obviously very intelligent. It's worth the investment. I feel like if AI is going to be as important as people say it's going to be, I think it's worth the investment. Nevo, yeah, I remember first reading it back at 2017. It was crazy. Yeah, so I think at this point, if I was to even try to read this paper, I don't think I'd be able to grasp it well enough. So hopefully by the time I get to this book, maybe I'll feel a little bit more confident in my understandings, and maybe I can actually read that paper and make some intelligent statements about it. Okay, multi. Yeah, matrix stuff is tricky. I mean, getting your head around what vectors are to begin with is tricky, I think, for most people when they first come into that space. Suas, I should read Attention is All You Need. Yeah, I mean, based on what Nevo's saying here, that would be a great place, it sounds like, to start. Oh, crap. It's already been an hour? Dang. All right, well. I do wish I could. I didn't really get much done. I think I've read like a paragraph and I wrote zero code. That's the way it goes sometimes, though. It was good to hang out with y'all, though. It was a nice way to spend an hour of the day, just chilling and chatting. All right, guys. Lunchtime is over for me, so I'm headed out. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Thursday, and if it's already Friday for you, I hope you have a good rest of your Friday. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys next time. All right. Peace. Bye.